Hi, this is the Change Mentors, and today we're going to talk about customer focus or customer service or customer relationships. It's all kinds of different terms used to this. We have Patricia here and Ann and myself, Craig. Patricia, do you want to start us off and let us know? Her eyes got wide, so I'm going to start us off.
Yeah, good.
And then Ann, if you would like to pull in, I'm going to show what Ann and I have been working on for the last little while, and we're in editing mode, aren't we, Ann?
Oh yeah.
It's the customer focus workbook that we're working on. It's related to the 7 attributes of excellent management. And so to do that, I'm going to share my screen, and let's just take it back a little bit, because I think we said that, well, shoot, man, see if I can get this thing to work. All right. So we were talking, first thing I said, it's part of the 7 attributes of excellent management. So let me tell you what the 7 attributes of excellent management is. It's this mobile. So leadership drives culture. Culture supports the customer focus. Without a really good culture, you can't have good customer focus. We have people and problem solving, core competencies balanced on this bar of customer focus, continuous improvement, that's processes and systems and performance measures. All of those are part of customer focus, but I usually tell people that customers can never be number one unless they come third. So have you always heard, Patricia, have you heard customers are number one? Have you ever heard that
Yes,
anywhere?
sure.
And have you heard customers are number one?
It's
Absolutely.
the reason. It's a reason for our business.
Exactly.
Yes.
But they'll never be number one unless they come third. Okay, so that's the shock that I like to bring to people, because unless leaders say customers are number one, they'll never be number one. Unless the culture accepts the fact that customers are number one, they'll never be number one. So for customers to be number one, they have to come third. We have to set up leadership. We have to create a culture that wants that to happen. And then everything we do, if it's not hanging on that bar of customer focus, then why are we doing it? Right. And so,
Right.
so that's what that picture shows. So today we're just going to focus on that bar and talk about customer focus. And we're going to get Ann and Patricia involved. But before we get there, I'm going to show you this little thing that I put together. I don't know what to call this other than it's a diagram. It's a cycle. And so if I were to go to a healthcare organization or any business, then I would say that this is what's required to have excellent customer focus. And as soon as I explain this, I want you guys to jump in. And if it looks like you want to jump in before I get through, jump in before I get through. But the cycles are before the visit. So we have to prepare ourselves before the visit. During the visit, that's when the customer's actually there. And it could be online, could be in person. And then after the visit, we have things to do in order to have excellent customer focus. Does that sound logical to you, Patricia?
Yes. Yes, we have to be ready for them and know what our focus is for how we deal with customers. Yes,
Right.
because I've got some points I want to bring up about that later. Yes.
All right. Do you want to do the before the visit points now?
Well, I think you have to have your main focuses of how we're going to treat customers. So we need to do that before, come up with our mission, our goals, and everything's changing a lot right now. I was just doing a little bit of research on this. Customers want to be treated like partners now. So it's a partnership with the customer. It's a pull sales, more consulting than it is selling or trying to fix everything. Another thing is giving them something, letting them feel like that you're really focusing on them and you're sharing some things like if it were AT&T, they might be helping their customers understand a little bit more about what's available that can help them in their business. And number one, and I think this is very interesting, is experiential. They want to experience that they are number one. So, and I have a couple other points later, but let's go with that, and then
All right.
Ann probably, yeah.
All right, Ann, do you want to add? Now we're just on before the customer
Yes.
visit, and we have to develop this culture and everything ready for those customers to show up. Do you have any insight on that specific part of it?
From a consumer standpoint, which is why I've got the background behind me, if this, I'll just use this company XYZ right here behind me. If they have not prepared for my visit and I get there, there's nobody at the counter. No one can help me with what I need. I don't even know what to do. And there's nobody there to explain to me how I get to do whatever I need to do, whether that's returning something or whether that's needing to speak with a manager or what have you. Everything that rotates around my experience when I get there has to come before my visit. Everything has to be in place or my visit is going to be a horrible experience. And as a customer with a horrible experience, you usually get one strike and you're out.
That's right.
But you tell
It's
everybody,
rare
don't
that you're
you?
given a second chance. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. As a customer, I'm really good at spreading bad news.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to this for a second. So when I was doing the research on this, I started, well, let me tell you kind of how this research started. Back in the late 70s. Yeah, back in the middle 70s. That's how long ago this has started, right? And I grew up in Holiday Inns. My mom and father are both Holiday Inn innkeepers. Our Holiday Inns had the best restaurant in town wherever we went because my dad made sure it was the best restaurant in town. I could not, from age 6 till when I graduated my master's, I could not leave my bedroom without potentially running into a customer. From age 6
Yeah.
to, well, earlier on, it was a little different. It's more guarded, because we had apartments, but we lived on site. And so this became a part of our every conversation. Every place we went, we'd talk about customer service at this restaurant, wherever we're sitting, wherever we're eating, and how it could get better. And my dad would not allow us to be negative. So we'd go I remember we went to this one restaurant. I won't tell you what name it was, but it was around Christmas time. They had a beautiful Christmas tree. And so we sat down and as a family, we're ordering things off the menu, and I ordered something. They didn't have it. And so we started to complain a little bit. They ordered 2 or 3 things, didn't have it, wasn't ready. It was common things on their menu they didn't have, they weren't ready for us. And it got worse from there. But they had a beautiful Christmas tree, right? So every time we wanted to complain about something, we'd look at the Christmas tree and say, that's a beautiful Christmas tree. Because we couldn't say anything positive about anything else. The only thing we could say positive about was a beautiful Christmas tree. And I got so good at this, I would go and I'd order milk with my food or something. I'd say, don't bring it out until the food's ready, because I don't want warm milk and I don't want stale, milk that's been out for a while. And so I would put a little piece of a paper under the glass. They would take it back, and then they'd come back and lie to me about how they poured it back in the machine and everything else. I said, no, you see this little piece of paper, this is to prove that you used the same glass. I put it there before you went in. So and then after that, I used, my wife and I got into mystery shopping. So now I got paid for complaining, and so it became really close to me. But over that period of time, I took what training we had and I developed this around it. My mother used to say something like, attitude is everything. She'd say something like, attitude is everything. It'll help you get a job, it'll help you keep a job, and it'll make you lose a job. And so, she was really about attitude. So before the visit even starts, there's something that happens. There's a strategic cycle. We're using strategy to decide how we're going to what we're going to provide and how we're going to provide it to the customer. We're building processes and systems and continuously improving them with the customer in mind. We're building a knowledge cycle. Now we're trying to figure out, if it's in healthcare, what patients are coming in next. Let's get that knowledge together so that we know how to serve those patients better. And then we're preparing for that visit. We're getting all the food together. We're getting all the whatever our patient needs together. We're getting all that stuff. If we're a dental office, we should be prepared for that next person to come in, right? We're prepared for that. And so that's all before the visits ever starts. And then the attitudes start also before the visit starts. For example, we're creating a professional attitude in the business processes and systems. We're creating a professional attitude on the knowledge cycle, what we're learning and what we're learning about the patient, what the needs are and how we're preparing. And then when they get there, we're having a serving attitude. When they get there, we're creating a welcoming attitude. We're creating a helpful attitude. The serving attitude is a little broader than helpful. Serving attitude is we're going to be good at what we do to serve. Helpful attitude is, can I help you? You know, is there something specific? And then a grateful attitude all along the way. All right, so I just added a whole bunch more to before the visit. You guys want to add anything to that, or have you any horror stories maybe related to any of this?
I don't have a horror story, but I have a story about growing up in the funeral business. My dad was a mortician, and he was known around the whole town and loved because he took the time to make sure that the families were taken care of. He was very, very good. He was a good artist and he was a good sculptor. So I know this sounds a little morbid, but he could, accident victims would have faces that looked normal by the time he was done with them.
Yeah.
People loved him. I remember as a child being 10 years old, people coming to the funeral home and just crying and saying, we love you so much. You know, you make us feel not happy, but good, you know, and helping us through this. So he had a reputation all across town as one of the best funeral directors.
So that's a very professional attitude in his service. You know, that's a serving attitude, thinking of the other people, you know, and all these other things are probably in there too. But, you know, if you do that, you have customers dying to see you.
Yes, I know.
That's bad. That's bad.
But you
sorry.
know,
Unintended.
I couldn't help that. But anyway, that's
but that's another area where he's going to see repeat business.
Yep.
You know, I'm not, no pun intended there either.
Yep.
But another company that I think does something really, really cool is Zappos. Whenever they have a new employee who starts with them, no matter what they're doing, whether it's an executive level or it's somebody on the production floor or maintenance, every one of those people has to spend their first 2 weeks taking customer service calls.
Yeah.
That way they start to understand what they need to do from wherever they're going to be after those 2 weeks, understanding how the customer looks at their company, the problems that they have, the issues that they need. And I think that's a wonderful way to get people to understand these people right here are why we're here.
Yeah.
And no matter where you are in this company, that should be your focus.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking, I changed dentist recently, and there may be even a step before this, because yes, it's how we act when the customer is there and the processes we put in place to make all this efficient. But one of the things that the dentist said to me, and I love this, he said, I want this to feel like a family when you come in here, that it feels like we're taking care of each other. So I'm thinking that's even at the conceptual level of how we want the environment to feel, what the image is that we want. And yes, all of these things support that, but there's even even a higher level that organizations do to say, this is how we want to be viewed by the customer. Customers have choices anymore, and they're knowledgeable, they're smart, and they know what they want. So I think there might even be a level above, which is more conceptually what we're thinking about as far as our organization.
So,
And then how
so
we
like the
lead.
culture.
Well, yes, and then how we lead within that is more the professional, the serving, yes.
Okay, good deal. All right, so let's go to the next phase. And do any more you'd like to add related to before the customer ever gets there?
No, not me.
All right, so now we're thinking about during the visit. So during the visit, then what becomes important is just the acknowledgement. When I was doing mystery shopping, mystery shopping is for fun and profit, because you could get a free meal, you could get $100 worth of meal, out of the mystery shopping, and it was really kind of nice. It was kind of fun. But the acknowledgement, that's one of the first things that you're looking for. How long does it take someone just to acknowledge me? I remember seeing one of the comments from a place that I've worked with before, and it said that I was there for 15 minutes. Maybe I exaggerate the time, but I was there for the whole time I was there. There were 3 people not 3 feet away from me at the front desk. Not one of them acknowledged me or looked me in the eye. They just kind of went on about their business and allowed them to, they ask questions, but they never looked at them. And so just that acknowledgement, saying that you're important. There's an old African saying that relates to this, and it's all about acknowledgement. It's the words, I see you. I see you, I recognize you, I see that you're important. Introduction to a listening cycle. So introducing and listening cycle. So now you acknowledge them and you're introducing them to your company. You're introducing them to your service. You're listening to their needs, what they need. And you're also introducing to the next person they'll meet. In the doctor's office, that might be the front desk saying, well, you're here to see Dr. Jagger. Dr. Jagger is great. Dr. Jagger has this great story that she just came back from, where she was visiting her grandkids, and her grandkids are just starting to do this, just like your kids or whatever. So anyway, just a introduction, a listening cycle, hearing them, now you see them, now you hear them, and then explaining the services. And you not only introduce them, you're explaining the process and what they need to do in order to have the next step or to be served. And maybe you're reading the menu of the day to them, or you're reading something else, but you're explaining that, and you're waiting for feedback. Maybe in some cases there's a problem, so you're trying to explain how to get to resolution, and listening again, trying to hear feedback. And then in the case of some places, like in healthcare, again, at the end of the day, you're kind of negotiating, because you're actually asking for something. You're asking for money, right? And so you're talking, how's your meal? How's this going on? How was your service? Did we do everything that we needed to do? And so you're actually going into a buying cycle. And then closing, at the end of that, you close that deal and you show appreciation. And all along the way, you have a professional attitude, you have a serving attitude, which is deeper and broader. You have a welcoming attitude over on this end. You have a helpful attitude over on this end, and you have a grateful attitude over on this end. Those are the 5 attitudes during the visit. So tell me, did that make you think of anything? Did that help you to some of your points, Ann, that we haven't got to yet, or Patricia, that we haven't got to yet, may be a good place to add some of these during the visit?
Well, I wanted to say one other thing. I wanted to, because I think it sounds as if that we think we're seeing most of the people. That is not true anymore. 2022, by this, they're saying that the trend is moving exponential, I mean, really, really fast right now. And by 2022, they're saying that 90% of customer service inquiries will be handled by virtual agents.
Hmm.
20, that's 90%. And Denmark has already done this starting in 2019. And they had a 99 success or 90 success rate with it, which it cut their back, all of this kind of stuff we're talking about. It cut that by 60%, looking up the answers. And one of the examples that they gave, and I thought this was very interesting, it was a bank. It's called artificial intelligence, naturally, what I'm talking about. But the bank, 90% of their activities will be covered by a virtual agent. Here's an example. How can I help you with your banking? And then I'd like to know, okay, the customer's saying, I'd like to know the rate on my loan. And the virtual agent says, you have a fixed rate, because it can go back and do the back work, the background work, and dig. It already has that, just like computer. On your mortgage is set at 6.54%. So we're saying that in the next couple of years, 90% of customer service will be done by a computer or a virtual agent. Now, for anything beyond that, then we'll actually have a call center environment where there is a human interaction that is bigger than that. But it really starts to go toward your continuous improvement comment, that we're taking this cycle and even taking it to the next level, which is what our society is getting used to. It's computer everything.
Right. So in the virtual environment, there's an acknowledgement. You've arrived to the right place. There's an introduction, and there's a, how can I help you? There's a listening cycle. There's if this,
because that verbal voice speaks to you. Yeah.
or it could be written, could be email, could be texting, could be all kinds of way, but there's a verbal acknowledgement, and this I see you is virtual now.
Right.
The listening is feedback, and then there's the explanation of what your problem you're trying to solve or what you're looking for. There's the buying cycle, negotiating, buying. And, if I put these two, if I'm on Amazon and I want to buy, something off the wall, I want to buy welding rods. Well,
Right.
have you also thought about the torch and the soft
right.
welding rods? They go together, or tape, and have you also thought about packaging? So there's a negotiating cycle.
Yes.
And then there's a closing, and then there's also the thank you at the end. So even virtually, it still works, I think. And
right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The Four Seasons, again, a hotel. One of the things that they've done is they've made it possible for all their guests to reach them on Twitter, Facebook, texting. That way, they don't have to be at the concierge's desk or on the phone in their hotel room trying to get information.
Right.
They can be coming back from dinner and just text somebody and say, hey, we wanted to go out somewhere else. Where can we go? Or, just connecting with their people. And they said that it's doing wonders. People love it because, like you said, Patricia, everything is going to that automated AI type of environment. And Craig, like you said, it's a way for the hotel to say, we acknowledge you. We are listening to what you're saying. You can communicate with us wherever you are, whenever you are, and we will help you do whatever you need.
So it gives them that feeling of the experience that I'm in. Yes, that we're in partnerships. You're giving me something. Yes. So it all goes back to the experience I have with, Yeah.
So, and, to give you an idea also, that's why robots look like people, and that's
right.
why robots have an interface with people. It's ergonomically set up so that you can control the keyboard and everything else. But that's also why the voices you hear are simulated are not real voices.
No,
They sound like they have an accent. They sound like
Right.
they have something else because you're trying to make that connection. All right, so let's
and
go
they
to,
say that the reason they're automating this, that a major percent of the same questions are asked over and over by customers, so they can automate that part and know how to get the data. And then what they do is the rest of that is for more complicated or more in-depth kind of inquiries. Yeah.
right. All right, so we have about 7 minutes left. So how about we finish off with after the visit? So you have the experience of the strategy, the building processes, your learning curves, your knowledge, the preparing for the visit, the people visited in some way, right? So we acknowledged, went through this, and now we have lessons learned and follow-up. So at this point, the after the visit is the lessons learned part, is the follow-up. How do we connect back to this group? Maybe in the buying cycle, we have to follow up by delivering something. Maybe in the explanation and the problem resolution, we have to follow up and see if it actually worked, and those kind of things. And then continuous improvement cycle, which leads back into the processes and systems, and it just a never ending loop, right? It doesn't start and stop at one place. It just continues from one customer to the next. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. But even in the follow-up and in the backside of this, there's still professional attitude, there's still a serving attitude, there's still a welcoming attitude, if when available, when needed, and there's still a helpful attitude and still a grateful attitude. To connect to gratefulness is that's how you have a happy workforce. The attitude that leads to joy the most is gratefulness, right? And so,
Can I add a point there?
oh yes, please.
Quickly, but just the other day I called about something that I had an inquiry about. It was with the Tennessee government, and all of this woman went way above helping me out. And I said, if you give me your name, I'll send the governor a note. And she did, and I sent a note. So you're absolutely right. She said, Patricia, I can't believe you did that. Because that is acknowledging the customer, I mean, not the customer, but the associate that helped the employee. And, it's a cycle that just goes on and on. So I wanted to say that, to acknowledge that on the follow-up, it is really important. We get to assess whether the service was good too. They'll ask for our feedback. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And we're quick when it's a bad experience, but we should be quicker to applaud and to give kudos to people who do a good job.
Bravo. Right, Anne, right on.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, that's my interpretation of excellent customer focus. And I think Ann and I, we have a book that's being edited now. Sounds like we could add some of Patricia's comments to what we've already written, because some of them are very good. And some of them.
Some, he said some.
Yes.
Not all, but some of them are very good. No, I'm just kidding. And would you and Patricia like to end on your final thoughts on customer focus and customer service and customer expectations and anything like that?
It's a lot easier to retain customers and to get new ones. So focus on all these things behind the scenes during the experience and follow up so that you can keep the customers you have. Getting new customers is wonderful, but keeping them happy when you have them, they will spread the word. They will. It takes time. So, no, I was going to say, treat me right and I'll be loyal.
Yeah. And in closing, to all of you who are our customers for this Change Mentors podcast. We hope that we're serving you in a way that's beneficial and gives you some useful ideas, because we appreciate you as a customer.
All right, I think with that, we're gonna say goodbye until next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.